Welcome back to Right Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful drawstring shift dress. As you can see right here on the video, on the thumbnail, it's actually looking so beautiful. So you can see we have a plain band on the sleeve. We also have a band on the hem. So this is what I came out with. You can see it's looking so beautiful, and it also has a collar as well. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn more. So here I'll be making use of 2.5 yards of Ankara fabric. It's not actually up to 2.5 yards. So you can use either 2 yards or 2.5 yards, okay? So I just use the remaining part of my fabric that is remaining. It's not up to 2.5 yards anyway, but it's just more than 2 yards. So I place it on fold. So after placing it on fold, I'm going to divide this fabric into two. So you can see how I placed it. I placed it on the yardage length. So I'm going to cut it out right now and arrange it because it has a button at the front dress. So I've cut it out, and this is how I arranged it. So you have to bring it out by 2 inches longer than the back piece. So the back piece is on fold, but I have to cut open the front piece because of the button. So here I'm arranging it, making sure that 2 inches for my button allowance is out there before I place the back piece. So now I'm going to create a border line. So we'll start to draft this pattern. So I'm still arranging it anyway, just to be sure I have 2 inches for the front to the end. So I measured it to be sure. I actually took my time here to be sure I have it exactly at 2 inches. So you can just go ahead and mark out that front piece to 2 inches, then rule a straight line to serve as a guide before you place the back pattern or the back center back. So I've highlighted my 2 inches right now, and I'm placing the back piece accordingly. So after placing the back piece, the next thing I'm going to do is to create a border line. So I'm going to create a border line of 1 inch, as you can see me do right here. So I'm going to rule 1 inch border line, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take my neckline. The neck depth I use 1 inch, and the neck width is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to connect the 3.5 inches to the 1 inch neck depth for the back. Then the front neckline I use 7.5 inches. You can also make it 8 inches if you want it a little bit deeper. Now I'm going to connect the 7.5 inches depth of the neckline to the 3.5 inches width of my neckline. Next, I'm going to measure my shoulder divide by 2. So my shoulder divide by 2, I got 8 inches. So from that 8 inches, I'm going to mark my sleeve length at 11 inches. My sleeve length is 11 inches. So I'm going to measure what I have remaining on that Ankara right there, and I'm going to cut it out. So from that point, I'll rule a line and cut it out. That is not part of this dress. So right now I'm going to come from that shoulder line. I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my sleeve drop or my shoulder drop. So I'll connect the 1.5 inches to the neckline of 3.5 inches width. Then from that point of my shoulder or sleeve drop, I'm going to measure my sleeve opening at 11 inches. Okay, so I opened my sleeve at 11 inches, and I came in by 1.5 inches from that point. So you come in by 1.5 inches and create your mark. So from that point, I'm going to measure my hip. The largest part of my body is my hip, divide by 4. Then I made sure I have at least 5 inches. So make sure you have at least 5 inches or 6 inches at that point. So I'm going to measure that 1.5 inches from that sleeve point right now and rule a straight line, because that is where we are going to cut from. Then you curve in your kimono curve. I believe that is clear. So right now I'm going to cut out the shape of this dress right now. So I'll just go through the sleeve curve area. So I'll just cut the sleeve on that line, and then once I get to that 11 inches, I'm going to curve it in accordingly. So the next I'm going to do, I'm going to add half an inch on top of my sleeve for stitching. So I'm done cutting, and this is what I got. I cut my neckline and the back neckline separately. Okay, sorry, my camera skipped this part. So I'm going to cut out the facing for the back right now. So I folded my fabric to cut out the facing. So of course you know how to cut out a facing. So you have to fold your fabric and place the main fabric on the facing. So I'm just trying to adjust it to be sure I have exactly what I want. So the folded part of the fabric and the folded part of the facing, you have to align it appropriately, secure with your pin, and then trim off the neckline. So that is what I'm actually trying to do right here. So I'm going to trim it off accordingly. Alright, so here I'm done trimming it off, and this is what I got. So I'll just go ahead and bring out the facing. I'm going to bring out the facing, then I'm going to shape in the facing to my taste. So here I'm using 3.5 inches to go around the facing, because I want my facing to be rounded, a sort of. So I measure 3.5, and I'll go ahead to cut it off accordingly. So after cutting it out, the facing is ready, and we are going to cut out the facing for the front too. So this is how I'm going to place it, right side to right side. You can see it's matching perfectly. So for the front facing, I bring in my fabric. As you can see, I place it on top of my facing. So you can see we cut out the neckline. Sorry, I did not show this part. Honestly, my camera skipped the cutting of this part. So I'm going to just trace it out, as you can see. So I'll just cut it out. You can see the 2 inches allowance that is for our button. So I just cut it out accordingly. So right now, after cutting it out, I'm going to bring out this facing, so we'll be able to shaping it out. So I'll bring out the facing, so we'll shape it the way we also want it to be shaped. So I'll take off my pins right now, and next I'm going to place this facing. I'll just shaping it out. I don't have any measurement for it, so I just want it to have this shape. So I don't have enough fabric for this facing, so you can see the upper part is supposed to be the same width with the back facing. But I'm going to join the facing right now, right side to right side at 1/2 inch. Later we'll trim it off. So I'll go and stitch on it. As you can see, I'll stitch 1/2 inch. So after stitching, this is what I got. I'll give it a good press. So I just want to, trim it out too, because it's supposed to be the same length with the back facing. So I just trim off and blend it into the back facing like that. So the facing is ready. So I'll bring in the fabric right now, and I'm going to place the back fabric and then place the front fabric right side to right side on top of it, and I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch. I'll just go and stitch 1/2 inch on both sides. So after stitching, this is what we got. So now this is the neckline, as you can see. So it has a collar. So I've already cut out my collar. My collar length is 15 inches, and the width on fold gave me 4 inches. The width on fold is 4 inches and the length is 15 inches. So now, because we are attaching a collar, we are going to shape in, put it together, notch the center back of the collar. Then we are going to put the fabric shoulder line together and also notch the center back of the fabric. So but the collar is not going to be straight like this, so we are going to put it together. The collar is on fold, okay, take note, is on fold. So from the upper part of it, the open end, I'll mark 1 inch. So I'll mark 1 inch and I'm going to blend that 1 inch. You can see how I blended it, so it will be able to bend very well on the neck. So this is the shape the collar is going to give. You can see that. So now I'll turn it to the wrong side and I'll stitch half an inch to close it up. So after stitching half an inch, this is what I got right now. So I'm going to place that notched area. Okay, I'm still turning it. Okay, so after turning it, I will advise you go ahead and iron it. Okay, so if you iron it, I think it will be better. So this is it right here. So I'll just give it a good press, put it together, and also notch that center back again. So after notching it, I'm going to place it right on top of it like this, secure with my pins all around, and then I'm going to sew the collar to the men dress. So I'll just take it all around, sew the collar to the men dress like that. So I'll just go ahead and sew it. So after sewing, this is what I got for the collar. So we are going to bring in the facing right now. You are going to place the facing right side to right side, making sure it matches both the button allowance, the shoulder seam lines, the center back. Make sure you pin them accordingly so it relaxes nice and clean after you are done stitching them. So I'll just go ahead and pin the shoulder seam line. I'll also pin the other shoulder seam line. So once you have gotten the pinning of these shoulder seam lines, all you need to do right now is to start pinning all around. You just go ahead and start pinning all around. Okay, so you can see the collar and the facing and the fabric is matching even at the button allowance. So after stitching, I'm going to make notch on that button allowance. Make sure you make notch at the 2 inches button allowance, and now make your notches on the curved area of the collar. This will help the collar to relax very well. So I'm going to make my notches accordingly. You can see what I'm doing right there. So next is to flip all my seams to the part of the lining, the facing and top stitch. After top stitching, I gave it a good press. So the next thing I'm going to do is to fold in 1 inch of that button allowance first. Fold 1 inch, then the next 1 inch you are going to fold it in together with the facing. So I'm going to run a top stitch on top of it. That will create the button allowance. So after creating the button allowance, you can see what we got right there. So this is how it's going to look like. So you see how it's going to overlap that part. So it's going to overlap right like this. So the next thing we are going to do is to sew the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'm going to take the measurement of what I have on the sleeve length. There I have 22 inches. So I've already cut out my fabric of 22 inches length and 3 inches on fold. Okay, so this fabric is on fold at 3 inches. So once I stitch half an inch, I'll be left with 2.5 inches of my band. So this is the sleeve band at 2.5 inches after stitching. You can see how beautiful it's looking. So I'll place it right side to right side and I'll head over to my machine. I'm going to stitch at 1/2 inch. So I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch after arranging the side of the sleeve to the bodies. So after stitching, I'm going to make a notch at that corner. You just make a little notch there, so that part will be free for you when you turn the dress. So I'll also make my notch on this other part as well, at that corner of the dress. So we are now going to sew the down piece of this dress. So I'm going to take the measurement of what we have all over from beginning to the end of this dress. So I got 67 inches. So I cut my fabric at length of 70 inches. So if I have an excess, I'll trim it off. So the width on fold is 4.5 inches. The width of this fabric, the fabric is doll face satin fabric, is on fold at 4.5 inches. So I'm going to place it to the other part and sew 1/2 inch. So I'll sew 1/2 inch right now. So I'm going to turn that part. So I'll sew and turn. So I'm going to start from one end first, unfold, and I'm going to sew, match it right side to right side, the fabric right side to the doll face satin fabric right side. So I'll just go and sew in the band at 1/2 inch. So when I get to the other end, I'll trim it off and also stitch close the other end. So I top stitch on top of it. You can see my top stitching. I flip the seams to the part of the fabric and top stitch. So later, try and give it a good press so it relaxes nice and flat, and you also weave the inner part. So the dress is ready right now. So I'm arranging the shoulder part so we can attach the drawstring. So from the shoulder, I'm going to take the measurement of my waistline. Shoulder to waistline, I have 17 inches. So whatever your shoulder to waistline is, just go ahead and mark it on the right side of this fabric. So I marked it on the right side of this fabric. So you can see I'm taking the measurement at the front. So I'll take that 17 inches from the one end of the front to the other. Then I'll also turn it to the back side, place my tape on the shoulder and take 17 inches at the back too. So I'll just chalk that back. So I'll chalk the back from the shoulder 17 inches. So I'm just trying to make sure I arrange it well, because we are going to attach our casing on that chalk line. So I've already prepared my casing. So this casing, the length is 70 inches, okay? So I measured 70 inches length of it, and the width of this casing is 2 inches. So I use my iron to fold in 1/2 inch, as you can see. But before I attach, I'll open it up and fold in 1/2 inch before I fold the other 1/2 inch. So I'm going to place it right on that chalk line right now. I will place it as you see, and I'm going to stitch on both sides. So I'll head over to my machine, open it up and stitch. So after stitching on that line from front to the back, this is what I got right here. So I stitched it all around. So now I've already prepared my rope. My rope length is 3 times of my waist, okay? So I'm going to use my safety pin to pass it through the casing. I'll start from one end of the casing and I'll come out to the other end of the casing. So here I've come out from the other end. So I'm going to arrange my casing accordingly. I'll keep arranging it. I'll just draw the drawstring like that. So you just arrange it very, very well. So I'm still trying to arrange it. So this is where I'm going to tie it at the center. But we are going to attach our buttons. This dress has a button. So that means at that button space, I'm going to create my button allowance or my button hole. Then I'm going to also sew my buttons to it. So, but I just want to show you how I tied it, okay, where to tie the rope anyway. So I'm just trying to knot the rope. Make sure you knot it so it does not slip back into the casing. I believe you understand what I'm trying to explain here. So now The next thing I'm going to do is to arrange this dress. I'll arrange it to create the buttonhole and place the buttons accordingly. So this is it. I've placed my button. You can see where the button is. Then later I'm going to create the buttonhole. And that is how we'll come to the end of this tutorial. I believe this tutorial is helpful to you. If this class is helpful to you, I would like to see your comment on the comment section. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you for coming to this class once again. So the length of this dress gave me 40 inches. So if you want to make it shorter, you can use 2 yards at 36 inches length. So for me, I had 40 inches in total. So thank you for coming once again and see you in the next one. Bye.